This week on Handyman Corner, we're going to show you what you can do with all that crap your wife makes you bring in every winter. You know, first of all, there's the picnic table. She doesn't want that in the backyard because she wants to get it out of the weather, and also it stops the snowmobilers from running into the clothesline. And then you have the lawn edging. She wants you to bring that in. You know, it goes between the garden and the lawn. She doesn't want you to run over that with a snowblower again. Now this I can understand. The croquet set, okay, fine. You don't want to be playing croquet when the balls are all frozen and split like cooked peas. On the other hand, the indoor-outdoor carpeting is a bit of a stretch. Because to me, the word outdoor is right in the name, you know, along with odor, I guess, is part of outdoor. And shouldn't this be outdoors? But apparently not. And finally, my work socks, which have been out on the line since around Lent. But you know, rather than accept this as a storage problem, the true handyman accepts this as a challenge. And I happen to be packing my staple gun, and when I'm packing my staple gun, I'm ready for any challenge. Oh, sorry, Harold. All right, step one is to put everything off the table, except for the carpeting, and we're going to attach the carpeting, and then we're going to attach the lawn edging to the table using the staple gun, just like reupholstering a chair. Come see, come saw. And all we do is put the croquet hoops in where the gaps are, and then cover them over with the work socks using the handyman's secret weapon, duct tape. So there you have it. Let the winter stay as long as it wants. I'll be inside here playing croquet pool. And you know, if you wanted to build some sort of a ball return system here, you could use the downspouts from your eavesdropping or even your toilet drain pipes. Okay, yellow ball in the side pocket. Oh, remember, if the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. Nice break. A lot of viewers ask me where I get all my ideas from. I want to give them an answer because sometimes they mean it in a nice way. Now, I'm not one of those guys who just walks around in a vacuum and comes up with things out of thin air. I know that worked for Einstein and Galileo, but I guess that's just a difference between me and them. Now, I always start with something and then kind of take it from there. For example, right here, I have a 500-foot roll of butcher paper. You know that stuff they wrap meat in to hide the evidence after you've killed, skinned, and gutted a harmless domestic animal? I'm just kidding you, yeah. Okay, first thing I do is take a look at the properties of what I'm working with. This stuff has one side that's shiny and kind of sticky, and the other side is smooth and very slippery. Now I just take a minute and see what my mind can come up with. Oh, I'm sorry. What was I saying? All right, yeah, the butcher paper, yeah. I could use it as a memo pad, or you could jot down phone numbers or messages, or maybe a grocery list, where you write down whatever you noticed you were running out of, and then have the convenience of being able to rip the note off and take it with you. Or for those of you who don't have a garage, oh, sure, those are great ideas, but they're just not practical. Now, this is where the creative handyman takes it to the next level. All right, what's the worst part about summer, huh? That's right, you can't go tobogganing. That's because toboggans won't slide on grass and sand. They need something slippery, like ice or snow, or the slippery smooth side of my butcher paper, huh? Okay, you want to position your toboggan facing down the hill the way you want it, but before you get too excited, you want to get something heavy, some weight of some kind. I got a couple of rocks here. And you want to put them on the end of the piece of paper. I'll explain what that's all about a little bit later. But the beauty now is I can go tobogganing anytime I want. And if I do happen to split my head open on a rock, well, I got plenty of paper to wrap it up in. So remember, if women don't find you handsome, They should at least find you handy. I'll tell you something, though. It doesn't end here, because I still got to get the toboggan back up the hill. See this? This is a cordless drill. This is our friend. Remember those rocks I put on the paper? Not looking so dumb now, am I? Well, with old man Sedgwick been able to sell that milk stool for a bucket full of money, I thought I'd use this week's Handyman Corner to show you how you can make a fortune from some of them priceless heirlooms you got sitting in your credenza or maybe lying at the bottom of a nearby ravine. You'd be amazed at what you can dig up, literally. I found this old oil lamp and this bear trap and this old red cart here, all of which I'd be willing to part with if the price was right, like, say, more than zero. What I need, though, is something that's going to catch the eye of passing tourists, something that's subtle and tasteful and can be seen for miles around, even in the bad weather. So we're going to build ourselves a real fancy, city-style, rotating sign using these window boxes and this old bed frame. Now, the first thing you're going to need is some pieces of pipe. All right, now, what I've ended up doing is actually taking these pieces of pipe right out of the system, but it doesn't matter. We got the water turned off most of the time of the year around here anyhow. Unless, oh, you don't suppose these are gas pipes? Hard to tell with our water. Oh, well, we'll find out eventually. All right, now what you want to do is drill a hole in each end of your window box, and you want to thread the pipe down through like an axle. Now, to attach to your axle and make it spin, you're going to need 4 of them pulleys with a cable to run around them. Not as hard to find as you might think. Couple of clotheslines and you're there. All right, now you want to attach the pulleys to your pipes, and you want to attach the end of the pipes to the bed frame. Now, I would recommend that you weld them on there for strength and safety. Of course, the handyman's secret weapon, duct tape, works good, too. All right, now what you want to do is put the bed up on its side. With the pulleys on top. Oh, I forgot to put the pulleys on. I'll get that later. You know what else you can do is cut pieces of plywood or cardboard or what have you and attach them on so you close off the open side. Then you got 4 different signs that you can make. But I'm happy enough with the 3-sided version. I'll tell you what, the drivers will be so amazed they'll veer off into the ditch, and then you can charge them for a service call. All right, let's paint. Or you can use a felt tip marker. All right, I got my pulleys attached, I got my clothesline threaded all through, and I got all my signs painted on. So now when you want to display your different signs, you just pull on the ends of the clothesline. Tell you, it's like drawing flies to a ship. Now, there's your oil lamp. There's your bear trap. There's your red cart. Hang on a second. Okay. There we go. So remember, if the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. And remember about truth in advertising. This week on Handyman Corner, we're going to show you how to modernize your home to make it not only more convenient for your family, but also easier to sell when that day comes, which it will, when you can no longer motivate yourself to come up with the mortgage payment. All right, now the first thing you're going to need is about half a dozen of these previously owned personal porcelain appliances. And I'll tell you, you can pretty well name your own price on these units because there is very little demand, surprisingly enough, for the used toilet. Now, you're also going to need a bunch of the ABS drain pipe and a whole trunk load of fittings, you know, the T's and the elbows and what have you, so that you can connect all of this stuff into your existing drain system. Now, you can use the epoxy cement on that, or you could use gum, or even pop rivets. I prefer the handyman's secret weapon, duct tape. Okay, Now, you put one of these units in each of the rooms you use most often, and you hook them right into the drain system like I've done here. They say that a man's home is his castle. Well, now you can have a throne in every room. And put the unit right out in the middle of the room like this, because this is no longer a toilet. This is now a custom-made room-to-room intercom system, a combination transmitter and receiver, or a transceiver, as we call it in the business. And the drain system becomes your distribution grid. And if you hook her into the roof breather, as I've done here, you now have a two-way public address system right out to your front door. So you can, you know, greet your guests or tell the police that you're not home or whatever. Now, when you want to signal people on the second floor, instead of using a buzzer, take all the stuff out of the toilet and get yourself a little bell like this, and then hook that right onto the flusher handle. And then when you want to call somebody, just like a phone. Now, I imagine a bunch of yous are asking, hey, Red, what about the smell? Well, this is a question I've had to deal with throughout my life. And I must admit that you get one of these units into the dining room, the occasional puff of methane can put you off your dinner. And once she hits the candles, it'll put you off your seat. But the best way and the easiest way to keep yourself away from the odors of the underworld is just to fire a little bit of water in there. Not a whole bunch, just enough to fill the trap. Fumes? What fumes? Now, the only problem is this also blocks the sound, creating what we call a breakdown in communication. So what you do is you get a gas siphon like this. This is the kind that you use at the mall while your wife's inside shopping. And you stick this down through the water because you want to get all the way down and around and into the drain pipe. And then you get yourself a funnel like this, which may be the kind you'd use, say, at a beer drinking contest. And you stick that in the end, and this becomes your speaker microphone. Let's give her a try. Harold? Harold?
Not right now, Uncle Red. I'm kind of busy.
Woo. Wow, she's as clear as a bell, isn't she? You know, we could use this actually to pump music all through the whole lodge. Try to imagine the best of Boxcar Willie coming out of a John. Anyway, remember, the women don't find you handsome. They should at least find you handy. I'm just gonna put you on hold there, Harold. This week on Handyman Corner, gonna show you how to make a low-cost, extremely efficient, lightweight, entirely portable electric barbecue. Well, at least portable in the sense you can go anywhere that they have electricity. I got the idea from one of these little units. You ever seen these babies? This is a little hot dog cooker. You got like a nail connected to the wire. You put one end each end of the weenie and you plug her into the wall, and by the time Bob's your uncle, you got your wiener burnt black as silver. And I'm thinking to myself, this could work on almost anything, because the point is, electricity can cook meat, which any of you know who've ever stuck your finger in a wall socket. But I'm thinking, you know, let's think a little bigger than that. Why can't we get electricity to, say, cook a roast or not quite sure what that is, probably a raccoon, I guess. And all we need maybe is to just get a little more pop to the electricity, not just use your standard household current, but maybe have a step-up transformer and take her up from 120 volts up to, well, how does a million sound? And a transformer's real easy to build. It's basically just 2 coils of wire. So you take a coil of your normal 14-2 household wire, as we explained to you in one of our other episodes, and you drop a smaller coil of wire inside, which you can get out of, say, an old electric razor or something of that nature. And these are darn easy to come by, especially while the guys are out fishing. So I just pop the top off this unit. All right, now this is a good safety tip. When you're working with a screwdriver, don't ever put the screwdriver, you see the way I did that? Don't ever put the screwdriver towards you. I hope you're noticing that, especially you young kids out there. Always have the screwdriver working away from you. I'll just pop the top off this thing. All right, well, I had to replace the fuse there. It was just actually, it was just a penny was in there, and it had melted right out of there, so I replaced it with a nickel. Should last 5 times as long. But the good news is that the whole covering of the razor melted right off. So now I can just lower that right inside my outer coil, And when I plug this end in, we're gonna get the 1,000,000 volts coming right out here. Now what I have to do is use something as an electrode for the thing, something as a, what do you call them? Yeah, electrodes, yeah. I'm thinking golf club. Just gotta kind of break this in half here. I would say go with the steel golf club rather than the wood kind, because the wood doesn't really conduct electricity all that well, and although if you could get her going, maybe if you got like 17 bazillion gagillion volts through it, to give you a nice hickory smoke flavor. Actually, probably a bunch of you golfers who get over 100 all the time have a whole set that looks like this. Now what we do is we're going to stick an end of this in each end of our meat, so to speak, and wrap our wires around there and seal her all up with the handyman secret weapon duct tape. And we're gonna have ourselves a little beef roast. So I'll work on that, get all hooked up there, and you watch the rest of the show, and when I'm all ready, I'll have you come back and we'll put this rig into action. Now I got her all hooked up and ready to rip there. The black wire brings your electricity in, your white wire takes your electricity out, and I got the ground wire hooked up to the meat thermometer. Now I ran an extension cord up from the boathouse using whatever pieces of wire I could find, because it's on a separate circuit down there. And I upgraded from a nickel in the fuse right up to a quarter. So I think we're ready to power up and eat like a man. Now, looks like we'll be having chipped beef. Not bad, a little underdone. Should have used a 6-iron. Anyway, the women don't find you handsome. They should at least find you handy. Well, a lot of you guys have an old bag at home that only gets out when you go play hockey. I'm talking about one of these, right? And I bet the stuff inside hasn't seen the light of day for a while, has it, huh? If you're like me, the only time you hit the ice these days is when you tip your glass up too high. So this week on Handyman Corner, I'm going to show you how you can turn your old hockey equipment into state-of-the-art fishing gear. All right, first of all, we're going to start with the hockey stick itself, or as I call her now, the fishing rod. We're going to attach the reel on here using the right winger secret weapon, hockey tape. The person is never too old to change. I know what you're thinking. Get real. Well, I did. And I used the extra rolls of hockey tape to finish the job. You know what you might want to do is keep a goalie mask handy, too, you know, in case you're fishing out of season or maybe your rod has an illegal curve. Now, I guess we could just stop with what we got so far, but hey, we got a lot more unused hockey gear still in the bag, so I say we take her up a notch or two and do our fishing from a boat. I've already got a cooler. One leg for drinks, the other for bait. Okay, I've attached the elbow pads and shin pads all along the sides of the boat here in case I come in on a breakaway and hit the post. And I got all my old fishing gear into the hockey bag, so I say it's time to go fishing. You know, I found the seat a bit too hard in this unit, so got out the goalie equipment and stacked the pads. That'll also save me from having any surprises in the 5-hole. Thought about using my protective cup as a bobber on that, but it brought back too many painful memories. All right, that's enough talk. Let's do some fishing. I'm sure I'll catch a fish in a couple of minutes. 2 minutes tops. 2 minutes for high sticking. You know, Gump Worsley's real name was Lorne. And it's just that easy. Remember, if the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. Oh, man. Oh, I got one. Oh, boy. She's a big one. She's a big one. Gonna use the net. Gonna need the net on this. This week on Handyman Corner, we're going to show you an interesting project that you can make with one of them patio umbrella tables. Now, I know the patio tables are supposed to be used out in your backyard for entertaining your neighbors, but I'd rather do something fun. I'd rather use them for windsurfing. All right, talk is cheap. Let's build. Step 1, remove the umbrella. Put it away somewhere safe for later. There we go. Now what you want to do is you want to draw out the design of your windsurfer on top of the table so you can cut it out. Now for that you're going to need some kind of a marker and get yourself a ruler so you can keep the edges nice and straight. Boy, you know, with the dampness and the fungi and the moss up here, there's a amount of warpage up the line, so I'll just eyeball it. I eyeballed it up pretty good, didn't I? Okay, there we are. And now what we do is we cut along all those lines to cut out our surfboard. Now, you could use a handsaw for that, or if you got a real good eye, you could use an axe. But to me, this is a carving job. For a carving job, I want to use an electric knife. That's either peanut butter or last year's turkey. Now you want to take all these pieces and turn this thing into the shape of a surfboard. Because if those college kids see you surfing on a patio table, you're going to be the brunt of some insensitive comments, believe me. And this unit goes here, and this goes here together here, and this goes back here. And then you take these two pieces and you put those together to form yourself a rudder. Now what you do is you attach everything together using either the epoxy cement or maybe you like to use bolts and nuts and so on, or whatever fastening technique you feel most confident with. I prefer the handyman's secret weapon, duct tape. Boy, that makes you feel like shooting a curl, doesn't it? Man, look at all the cobwebs up there. Oh, well. Alrighty, there we go. Now, I've already hoisted our sail. I call it a sail now because it's I'm lucky to open an umbrella indoors. And I put a big wad of duct tape on here so that it doesn't go too far in, which is a handy thing to remember. Now just pop that in there. Looks like we got a pretty good breeze going out there, so why don't we try and catch the wind, as Donovan would say. Hey, Harold, want to open up the big door there? All right, so remember, if the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. Find me out in the patio. This week on Handyman Corner, we're going to show you how to get better TV reception. Of course, one way is just to switch to a different channel. But we're thinking more of one of them fancy satellite dish/bowl things that let you get a million stations all carrying, you know, stuff like Cheers and MASH and Lucy and that kind of thing. We were actually thinking of buying ourselves a dish at the lodge, and we went down and looked at them, and these things are $1,000. $1,000. That's what we pay for houses. But I took a close look at it, and I figured, golly, I can build one of those. So all you're going to need is one of these patio tables, including the umbrella, and about 160 bags of chips. Potato chips, that is. Make sure you get the kind in the foil bag. Step one, empty the bags. $42. You know, maybe what we should do is just maybe pour these into a pail, and then we can, you know, eat them later while we're watching TV. Wish I'd thought of that a little earlier. Maybe I should have cleaned the pail out first. Well, I'll just tell the guys these chips are sour cream and onion. 43, or is that 44? I'll do an extra. Oh, geez, that was my spleen. That's 100. Oh, that's good enough. Boy, this place is starting to smell like Mr. Potato Head's honeymoon suite. All right, that'll give us the reflective surface for the satellite dish. Now we need the actual dish for him, and this is where the patio umbrella comes in. All right, first step we got to do is to gently remove the umbrella from the stand. There we go. Now we got an inverter, flip her over, and point her back out into space. I'll just aim her up through the hole in the lodge roof there. And now we'll secure it on there using the handyman's secret weapon, duct tape. No problem. I guess you wouldn't want to give me a hand, eh, Harold? My hands are all greasy from something. Okay, now I've really laid the duct tape in there because you gotta allow for wind, especially after 44 bags of chips. And what we've got here now is a concave reflective surface, at least we will have once we add the foil bags to her. And what that does is it focuses all the electromagnetic waves from way out in space right up here into our receiver. Get that there. Set it right there now. Now, what I have to do is I have to open up all the bags like this and attach them inside the dish. And I could do that with duct tape. It's gonna take a whack of duct tape, and that's gonna cost you a fair coin. So I got an idea that's free. You know, all of them paint cans you've been keeping in the garage or down the basement, you know, for years and years because they got a ½ inch of paint in them or something and they're still good. So you don't throw them out, you just store them for a while until they smell like old fish, and then you throw them out. Well, you don't need to throw them out. We can use them here as an adhesive to stick the foil bags right onto the umbrella. Oh. 39. You know, I'm using the paint like wallpaper paste. Actually, I do have some wallpaper. Well, it doesn't matter. This is gonna take a little bit longer than I thought, so why don't we just get on with the show, and when I get her all done, I'll bring you right back. Hook her up and make her work. 99. Should be one more. I thought I had 100. Oh, well, that should do it. So there you are. You're all tied right in now to the international satellite system, part of the Great Video Information Network. You got 1,000 channels at your fingertips. Let's crank her up and see what we can pull in here. Oh, man, there's nothing on. Oh, well, if the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. Oh, there we go. This week on Handyman Corner, we're going to combine two things that all men love: gasoline engines and hitting things. We're going to build our very own batting cage. Hey, gotta love a batting cage. All the fun of baseball with none of that darn running around. What do we need? Well, first thing we need is something to throw the balls at us. So I'm thinking lawnmower. I'll tell you, I've seen some rocks come out of this baby that any real man would love to take right up into the upper deck. So all I gotta do now is just modify this puppy to chuck baseballs. All right, now I want to dull the blades down on this unit because we are building a batting cage, not a Cuisinart. You could file the edge of them there, or you could grind them down. I prefer just to run over a bunch of tire irons. Wow, that sounded good. Oh, by golly, yeah. Oh, that's terrific. That looks good. Wait a minute, that's not my lawnmower. Well, it is now, I guess. All right, now you want to have the baseballs come out just this hole. You know, so what you got to do is you got to seal the whole bottom of the lawnmower, and I suggest what you do is grab that chunk of kitchen counter that was left over when you put the sink in. Also, this is a great opportunity to point out to your wife how smart you were to hang on to it, huh? Now, something you got to be aware of. The end of that blade is going to be traveling speeds of excess of 100 miles an hour, so be sure to really sock the duct tape to her. You know me, safety forced. Now, as with most things in nature, you have an input and you have an output. So far in this unit, all I have is the output, a place for the balls to come out. What I need is an input. I need a hole on the other side there, place for the balls to go in. Beauty. Here's a little extra added feature here. automatic ball return, so you're not running around the house grabbing balls out of soup bowls and eye sockets. I've added the sheet onto the grass catcher here, so when the ball goes in there, she just filters right down into the grass catcher, into the input lawnmower, and becomes my next pitch. All right, just start her up here. Now remember, women don't find you handsome. They should at least find you handy. Play ball. All right, I think maybe I slow her down to mulch. All right, here we go. Hey, pitcher, come on, pitcher, put it in there. Oh, man. That's out of here. This week on Handyman Corner, we're going to do something make a lot of you guys feel young and alive again, because it's dangerous. Now, I don't mean dangerous to build. All my projects are that way. I'm talking about dangerous to use. That's what gets the juices going. You know, the adrenaline, the testosterone, the hydrogen peroxide. Now, I'm sure that most of you know what these units are here, but I'll tell you, with the invention of the space-age plastic and the no-wax floors and everything, these units have become kind of a thing of the past, so you can get them real cheap, like at a yard sale or even a dump, Now, you're going to need two of them. One for the left foot, one for the right foot. What are we going to make? How about electric rollerblades? Those young people today and the dumb things they're doing. Well, I think we're one step ahead of them this time. All right, first thing you got to do is you got to separate the head of the unit from the handle. And you might use one of these lubricating sprays, and just very careful where you put it. Sometimes there's a little hidden nut or bolt in there, and this will kind of dissolve the rust on them. Just loosen them up to where they'll just come apart just that much easier. There we go. All right, remember a few winters ago when you said, boy, I need a winter activity? Actually, it's probably your wife that said it, or your doctor. So you went out and you got yourself some cross-country skis, eh? Tried it once, and it was fine, everything. Then you came to your senses and bought a snowmobile. Well, here's the good news. You're actually going to be able to use those cross-country skis now, because what we want to do is we want to take the bindings off there and the boots off there and then attach them to our floor polishers. All right, now, it's probably a Scandinavian bolt of some kind. Could be any kind of thread or... All right, that's fine. All right, you don't have to feel bad about doing that to the skis, because if you kept up the skiing, you probably would have done this yourself and probably done the same thing to your leg. All right, now what you want to do is attach that onto the top of the floor polisher using maybe a bolt and a washer, or, hey, whatever you like. There we go. Now, take a look at how this works. All right, see there? See the wheels on that? See how it goes? See? Oh. All right, so you notice on that the brushes go in opposite directions. So that means that once you got them on, the steering and the direction, it's a little bit sensitive. You got to maybe, if you want to go backwards, I'd say lean forward. If you want to go forward, you lean backwards. You want to go left, you lean right. You want to go right, you lean left, stand up, sit down, fight. If you want to stop altogether, you would lean all the way forward into what I believe they call a face plant. All right, we're all set. Let's go rollerblading. All right, now, obviously you need a portable source of electricity, so gotten a hold of a bunch of 9-volt batteries. There isn't a Walkman working within 50 miles of the lodge right now. And when you wire these up, this is very important, make sure you have the same amount of electricity going to each foot. All right, now I'm ready to go rollerblading electrically, so remember, the women don't find you handsome. They should at least find you handy. There's a bit of technique involved. Guess I need a little more polish. Whoa!